Hello, my name is Kale Miller. I am diagnosed with apraxia. I'm currently 23 years old and I'm wrapping up college right now as I will be double majoring in both business management as well as marketing. Yeah, so I recently discovered Apraxia Kids probably 2 to 3 years ago. And once I started college, I really got into volunteering, and I started to think of organizations that maybe held a special place in my heart. And Apraxia Kids was definitely one of them. Being diagnosed with apraxia, it's something that I wanted to get involved with, so I joined our Facebook community page. Yeah, so my connection to Apraxia Kids, it's fairly new. My parents, they had never heard of it. I know it was freshly new when I was diagnosed with apraxia, but now that we do know what it is, they're super excited for me, and they're super excited for the opportunities that it can hold with connecting with parents and relieving some of those fears and stuff. I've actually, but before prior to joining this Facebook group, I'd actually never met anybody that did have apraxia. So, I kind of grew up in kind of a smaller area. Didn't graduate with a lot of people in high school and stuff. So, meeting people with apraxia was definitely rare. I do remember growing up with speech therapists. I do remember meeting other students my age with different speech disabilities, and I still felt a connection, even though they weren't apraxia per se. I still felt a connection to them because we kind of did deal with like-minded speech challenges together. Yeah, so I actually just had this conversation with my parents, and it's has been a while since I was a young child, and I really did struggle with those difficulties. But I do remember being pretty frustrated, and I remember it made me very shy because I knew that no matter what I was gonna say, no matter what I was trying to communicate, my parents would have to look for inferences and try to figure out what I meant. But all in all, I'd say both my parents were very open about it, and they never almost treated it. They were very supportive with it. They treated it like it wasn't going to be the end of the world. It was just an obstacle, and they helped me. They were a lot of motivation in terms of studying and playing word games and figuring out what the best path forward going forward was. So both of my older siblings, they both knew I had apraxia, but and they were both very supportive. My sister, it's very funny because my sister and I, it was insane because everybody had a hard time understanding me, but for some reason my sister, she always knew what I meant or what I wanted, and still to this day, my family, we find it the most fascinating thing. She could understand me when nobody else could, and I always joke that we always have like a sit. We're not twins or anything, but I always joke that we almost have like that telepathic connection or something, that sibling connection. So it was pretty special. I know my sister, she was a huge person I leaned on growing up with apraxia, and she definitely when things were hard and I did have a hard time communicating, she definitely was my voice for a long time. So growing up, obviously, I was in speech therapy in early elementary, and a lot of my friends from elementary school, they did remember having a hard time understanding me at various points and stuff. But it was something that I wasn't I was almost a little bit embarrassed to share once I graduated from or once I finished my speech therapy and stuff. It was something that I hadn't mentioned a lot just because I never dealt with, thankfully I never dealt with intense bullying, but I definitely dealt with teasing here and there, and it's weird because a lot of the teasing actually almost came later on in life when I had like I remember like middle school. I would almost say things maybe differently than the other person and stuff, and people would pick up right away, and that's when I would get teased with it more often, or I would almost get teased later on in life from things that happened earlier in elementary school, how I used to speak. So it was definitely something that I did keep pretty hidden for a while, but as I got later on in high school, as I got to college, it was something that I wanted to become more of an advocate for and to get involved more with. So that's when I started to be more open about my story because I saw it as kind of an opportunity to remind kind of parents that this isn't a hopeless, that you can still live a fantastic life. This isn't the end of the road situation where you can still go to college, you can still achieve everything you want to achieve. It's just going to be a little obstacle in the middle of the road. So that's how I approached it at least. I would say what makes me shine the most is being dealing with apraxia as a child and being a former introvert and stuff. Nowadays I consider myself very extroverted and meeting with family and friends. They're like, "Oh, Kale's not afraid to talk to anybody." And I've also had the opportunity to speak at many conferences, and I've been able to speak. I'm in various different organizations at my university, and I've spoken in front of 50 to 100 people before, and it's something that would terrify me in the past, but nowadays I almost embrace the opportunity, and it's something that I love because I feel so good about being able to convey a message to so many different people, and I think that really is powerful for me. I would say something that I think I struggle with more on a day-to-day basis is I've been trying to expand my wheelhouse and learn French at the moment, and I've noticed some more difficulties in it. Maybe I've spent some time in kind of that field house of learning the new language and stuff, and I've noticed I do have a hard time with some of the new pronunciations and the different dialect of words. So that's something I think learning a new language can be is still pretty. I mean, it's difficult in its own, but I think with apraxia it can be more difficult. I would tell myself don't be afraid of not being heard because communication is so important. And I think growing up, I think I missed out on a lot of things because I was afraid to speak. And I would tell myself that it's gonna happen, and not everybody's gonna understand you, and you might get funny looks, you might get funny remarks, but all of that's temporary, and any challenges that come with it, you just have to keep moving forward and brush it off your shoulder and truly just I guess just keep moving forward and realize that there's gonna come a point where you can be heard and you can be seen, and I think that it might not come as soon as you want it, but it will come eventually if you keep working hard and doing what you can to combat the diagnosis as much as you can. I would say if I could tell parents now is don't I would say just get a little bit better every day. This isn't it's not going to be a situation where it's not going to be a night and day transformation overnight. I would say just keep working hard, keep going through the process, listen to kind of speech therapists, do the research you can do online, and just try to get a little bit better each day. I think that's the key to getting past the diagnosis as much as you can and stuff. I would say that's my biggest piece of advice. So I will be presenting at the Apraxia Kids National Conference this summer in Pittsburgh. I'm so excited for this opportunity. I will be speaking a lot about just my upbringing. I'll be speaking about kind of my parents' involvement, what they felt, kind of their different feelings, my feelings dealing with the obstacles that came with the bullying and maybe the emotional frustration, as well as lastly, I'll also be talking about kind of my experience with my speech therapist as well, and kind of how our connection and how I still consider her to be a mentor for this day today and stuff. So a happy Apraxia Awareness Month.